You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Peacock Soap fans. Today we want to talk about something that is in the wind at Days of Our Lives, and it is about what future, if any, that Bo Brady and Hope Brady have together. Are they going to reunite? Now, when you hear that Hope and Bo are coming back, you think, oh, Hope and Bo the couple is coming back. But so far, there is no Hope as a couple with Bo. As a matter of fact, right now, she doesn't even know he's alive, and he is on this very strange path that is taking him in a direction that we've really not seen him in before. So what we want to talk about real quick is we see three main obstacles in the way of Bo Brady getting his fancy face back in his arms, and these obstacles are going in both directions. It's not simply that we think that Hope might not want Bo or Bo might not want Hope, but there are these obstacles that are growing larger by the day that could keep them apart. And with Days of Our Lives so heavily promoting the return of Bo and Hope, fans are going to be very frustrated if they do not reunite. Now, me personally, I feel like that Days is obviously going to reunite them at some point, but we're starting to suspect, based on the clues and the plots unfolding right now, that it might be months. I mean, maybe in May sweeps, they'll lay eyes on each other and have that like, oh, there she is, there he is. How do we feel about each other? Or it could be, all the way into like sweeps for summer when Bo and Hope actually get back together romantically. If you've been hoping to see that, as a lot of old school fans want to, then you might want to buckle up, because I feel like it might be a bumpy ride. So let's look at the three obstacles that I see them facing, and you may see some more in addition to these. But first of all is Bo's been dead for years. So in the interim, he died in her arms. Of course, he wound up a human popsicle, but for all she knew, for all Hope Williams Brady knew, Bo Brady died in her arms from complications of a brain tumor. She watched the love of her life expire, and she grieved. She was devastated, and she grieved. And then she moved on with this new life. So she has, although she still misses him, in a lot of ways, she's gone through that grieving process, and she moved on, to be involved with other men. She's had other love in her life. She was with Rafe Hernandez for a while, and he's not the only partner that she's had. We also know that she's been a sole grandparent to, this new baby with Sierra and Ben. She has gone through the whole gamut of seeing Sierra through her love through Ben. Basically, Hope has built this whole life for herself after Bo Brady, and in her mind, that is Hope's life after Bo. And so, of course, she'll be glad to know he's alive, but depending on how he comes back into her life, the question is, how does he fit into her new life? She's also been running around doing stuff for the ISA, and, she is a very different person than she was when he died. And no doubt she will be thrilled that he's alive, but they might have a little bit of problems just making those puzzle pieces fit. So obstacle one is Hope's new life after his death, where she has put herself back together and moved on. Obstacle number two is that Bo Brady is not himself at all right now. He had an inoperable brain tumor, and that does things to your behavior and your choices and the functioning of the physiology of your brain. So that was the shape he was in at the time that he supposedly died. And then they've, done a retcon and rewritten history to bring him back. And so he's been frozen in this tube in a secret Demera lab where Megan Hathaway has been trying to figure a way to bring him back to life. Then, as part of his recovery, she has been conditioning him mentally, brainwashing him to basically make it where he doesn't care about anybody but her. And she's obsessed with Bo, and she wants Bo to be obsessed with her. She still has this whole, high school romance thing still brewing in her mentally deranged head. So Bo is just not himself. And he thinks that he needs to go and be a Kiriakis, and he doesn't care anything about his family. And so this all just shows how very different that he is. He has strong-armed Kayla, and he's trying to make her do experiments for him as he builds this bizarre Kiriakis legacy of his own. So it's all very strange, and that is what we see as the second obstacle, is that the Bo we're seeing now is not the Bo that we all know and love, and he's not the same Bo that he was when he died. He is a science project that may or may not be going well. So we still don't know how stable he is and what the long-term effects of being frozen for so long, the long-term effects of having that brain tumor, and of the conditioning that she and Dr. Rolfe did to him in the lab over all these years. And then the final obstacle is that Hope is with Harris now. And that's going to really piss off a lot of people because everybody thinks Hope belongs with Bo. And, that's largely true. And I think eventually it will turn out to be that way. But for right now, she is kind of falling into this romance with Harris Michaels. Now, if you watch Days of Our Lives Beyond Salem Chapter 2, that was when Steve Burton was brought in to revive the role of Harris Michaels that he played way back in the 80s. And they had spark. They were getting married, but he was working her to try to get the piece of the prism she had, and she was working him for the ISA. But since then, he's had that brainwashing that Megan did to him undone, and he seems genuinely to want to be a better man, and she is still into him. And now they're off running around doing some investigating for the ISA in Greece, and they're going to be playing kissy face. And so there is this potential there. And already we've seen Harris concerned that he is definitely not as good a man as Bo Brady was, and sees himself as not worthy of being with Hope because she had this great love with Bo. But then Andrew Donovan encouraged him to pursue that romance and said, my Uncle Bo was great. I didn't know him that well, but the bottom line is he's dead, and, there's nothing for you to hold back for. So it looks like Harris, with Andrew's encouragement, is going to kind of go all in with Hope. So how deeply will they fall before she finds out that Bo is alive? So those are the three main obstacles that I see, and that's in addition to the bottom line obstacle is that she does not know that Bo is alive. Right now, the only people that know that Hope is alive are Kayla, Megan, Dr. Rolfe, and Kate Roberts, who people are worried she's dead, but I'm confident that she's not. And so there's just not that many people that know. But next week on Days of Our Lives, Steve finally finds Kayla, and that's when he'll find out that Bo is alive, because he finds Bo with her. And so we have to figure that after next week, it won't be that long before Hope Brady finds out that her dead husband is not so dead, and he's been a human popsicle in Megan Hathaway's lab. So it could be just one of those, bam, Hope hears that Bo's alive and she runs to him. But even if she runs to him and is ready to fall back in love with him, or to just jump right back into the love they had, where's he at? He is in a whole different mental headspace, and he is just not going to be the Bo that died in her arms. So even if she immediately ditches Harris and that obstacle is out of the way, I think Bo is going to be the primary obstacle, and what is going on, this whole drama that's in his head, and this new man that he's determined to be, and he doesn't want to look back at the past, and Hope is categorically part of his past. But let's hope that she's also part of his future, and that Bo and Hope get back together. So what do you think? Are Bo and Hope going to reunite right away, or is this going to be a long and winding and painful road before we finally get the reunion that everybody has been waiting for since we heard that they were coming back to Days of Our Lives?
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.